I'm your host, Elizabeth, and this is For the Talkers. Hello, talkers, and happy Thursday. I'm your host, Elizabeth, and this is For the Talkers, where we learn and mostly really laugh. And this season, we are learning about confidence, specifically confidence from other women, right? Because you know what? Being a woman and being confident, that's hard. That's hard to do. So I have like 10 and counting amazing women who are confident in themselves and what they do. And we're talking all about it. And I am so excited. Me and Grace did an introduction to the season last week. So if you missed that, you can pause, go listen, come back, whatever you want to do. But Susan is our first guest interview, and she absolutely nailed it. To quote my friend Mirren, I have chills. I had chills the entire time. I was lost for words, really, as you can see. And I just feel like Susan is such a validating person, and it was just so fun to have a conversation with her, and she's funny. So y'all got to listen, and very very inspiring. We talked about having confidence specifically in your style. Susan is a personal stylist and she's amazing. Follow her on Instagram. I love her Instagram. Okay. I'm looking at her story every day, and she has a super fun newsletter, which will be linked in the show notes as well as her website. So you can check both of those out. If you also listen to this conversation and say, I have chills, I have a style, and I'm going to do something about it, right? Okay, I will stop yippity yapping so we can hear from Miss Susan. I just recorded with her, so that's why I'm like high energy. Okay, we're here, we're queer, and it's amazing. Let me tell you about Susan. Susan is an intuitive personal stylist. After giving birth to her son and losing her sense of self, she rediscovered her. Oh my God, I can't speak. She rediscovered herself through healing and authentic personal style, and she's helped hundreds of women do the same. She has been featured in InStyle magazine, hosts the Top 10% podcast, the Susan Padron podcast, and she is the author of the award-winning book, We Don't Do Just Okay Anymore. So please join me in welcoming Susan. All right. Hello, Susan.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, I'm so excited for this conversation. I know the talkers are going to love to listen to all that you have to share with us today. Let's just start with our happy, funny, sad. So, my happy is I worked from home today, and it was kind of my first day of like fully at home working. And Grace just recently got us like double monitors. So, it was so nice. And she doesn't work on Wednesdays. So, I got hand delivered meals, and
Love that.
so yeah, that made for a very happy day. And then for a funny evening, my sister just got here, and she's just 2 years older than me, so we're really close. We went to high school together and everything, and she just is hilarious. We have like such a fun bond, and so she's my funny because I'm like, I can't pinpoint one thing, but I know I'll be laughing the whole time she's here. And then my sad is we went to the gym today, and they just were like, I can't even describe it, but basically they just were wanting us to fill out all this stuff so randomly, and they're just like so profit focused. So it's like so frustrating. All this stuff they want you to like sign and do, and you can't change anything. And it's like, I'm trying to better myself and like work out, and you make me never want to come here. So it just like made me sad because I'm like, gyms are supposed to be, so good for you, but like they make it so difficult. But I get it. They're a business. But yeah, I'm just like, gosh, I wish you didn't do that.
Yeah, for real. So much easier to work
Right.
out when you can just work out.
Just work out. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Hey, I would love to hear your happy, funny, sad moments.
Yes. So, all right. My happy moment was I got to see a wonderful friend of mine today, and we went to this
Yay.
awesome thrift store, and I found two jackets that I like fell in love with that were perfect for me, perfect in my size, cozy, like helping me just really get into those fall vibes. I
Yes.
love moments like that.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, beautiful moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Happy shopping
You're
moment.
like, "I'm supposed to be here. These are for me." Like, everything's how it should be.
Exactly.
I love that.
So that was absolutely a happy moment for sure. Love those moments when, I'm shopping. I have to say, my funny moment was actually yesterday when I had a client session who she was a new client to me and we just laughed so much. And those are like my favorite sessions where you see the whole spectrum of emotions where we laugh, we're like supportive, we're emotional. It's like all the things, and it's all part of the process. And it's just beautiful when that happens, very first time. And then
Yeah. Yeah.
and I would say my sad moment was also at the thrift store where I found the cutest dress. I loved it. I was so excited to style it for fall. And it was just like a little bit not my size. I had it on, and I was like so close, but it just wasn't meant to be. And I had to release it and hope that it finds a better home on, you know,
Right.
the right body for that dress. And that body was not mine, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's so fair, but so frustrating when that happens because you're like, "What can I do to make this work?" But
I
good
know.
for you for just
Thank you.
passing it on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, so I just first of all have to say before we, jump into our questions, this is a new season on confidence. And I was like, Susan has to be the first one for this season because I just feel like style and confidence go hand in hand. And I
Mhm.
just know you're going to have amazing things to say. So I'm like, this is the perfect first episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And then before we really, dive into confidence, I want to hear a little bit more about how style can, move us into a place of healing and sense of self and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. So, healing and style and confidence, but healing and style especially are topics that go so deeply hand in hand with the work that I do. And it's because my approach to personal style is that it should be a reflection of who you are. Right? Like, ideally, what we put on our bodies, what we choose to wear should be a reflection of ourselves. And it's a way that we can connect with people and just give anyone that we come in contact with like a little glimpse into something unique and special about us. And the reason that healing plays such an important role with your style is because you need to know who you are in order to have a personal style. And you need to be really confident in that person that you're showing up as in order to then portray that to the rest of the world, right? And what was so important for me in my own journey into like becoming a personal stylist is when I was going through periods in my life where I had to kind of take a step back and be like, hold on, a lot's changed here in my life, in this body. Like, who am I now? And how is that different from the person that I was when I had all of these other clothes in my closet that no longer feel like me? I'm not excited to wear them anymore. They're taking up a lot of space. I have a lot, but there's just something missing. And I knew this is about like 10 years ago now, but I have a very clear memory of standing in my closet, looking at all these clothes and just being like, that's not me anymore. And that's a realization that I see so often with a lot of my clients, but they're not fully aware of it yet. They see I have clothes, I don't like the clothes in my closet, I'm going to hire a personal stylist, which is the first step for sure. But then what they discover is they're like, "Ooh, the reason I don't like those clothes in my closet is because that represents this past version of me. And I'm on the path to becoming the person that I've always really wanted to be. And then being able to have clothes that really reflect that, it's beautiful. It's beautiful for me to be able to support them on that path and help them to get that clarity and realization through healing. It's magical. I love every minute of the work that I do.
Yeah, just even hearing about it, it's like that feels magical. Like
Thank
I that's so perfect and I hate that feeling when you do you just look at everything you have and it's like nope.
Yeah.
Nope, not me. So yeah, that's really interesting. Um would you say that I mean, you probably wouldn't, but, like, is there any limit to, those changes that can happen, like, maybe how often or how many times, right? Because it's probably not just a one-time thing, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that for a lot of us as we're like navigating through adulthood, at whatever phase of it we're at, it's easy to look at big transitional moments, when if you go to college, like when you graduate school or when you get married, when you have a baby or when you start a new job. So there are these like really big and kind of more obvious transitional periods that a lot of us go through, at least one or two of them. And at those points, it's easy to say, okay, I'm starting a new job, or I'm recently divorced, and I just need a new look because of either, professional reasons or social reasons. You're like, okay, there's something missing here. But what I think a lot of us don't realize is that we have, you know, these changes that occur on a smaller scale too, where you've been evolving and changing. You might just not be fully aware of how much you've grown over a period of, 2 to 5 years, really. And all you're really picking up on is the fact that maybe your clothes they're not landing the way they used to. You're not excited about them in the way that, you used to feel when you would get dressed. And then when you take that step back and you're like, oh, wait, but actually, these are all the things that have happened to me over the last few years. And if I were to look at me 5 years ago compared to me now, I mean, there's been tremendous, tremendous growth. And while that 5 years ago me can still support the now me is way more confident in who she is and wants to show up in a very like specific way, which may look different another 5 years from now. But as a very lengthy way of answering your question, I would say on average, every 5 years, take a check in at least. But if not, then those big life transitions that we all kind of go through are a really great opportunity to take note of yourself and your personal style and how all of that's connecting.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say you answered the question perfectly. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love having, that like number to put to it. I think that's great and a good reminder. Too, yeah. We've talked about in the podcast a few times 1%. And so it just kind of made me think of that, right? Like if you're changing just 1% every day, yeah, eventually this is a lot different now.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And a lot of us don't realize that because when we have these like those 1% changes, it's like just a little bit like every day
Yeah.
that it's not until, you reconnect with someone that you haven't seen in a long period of time where that outside viewpoint can really bring your attention to just the amount of change and growth that's occurred during that time.
Yeah. That is also how I explain well, have you seen, people posting when they used to do their eyebrows, like, really bad?
Mhm. Mhm, mhm.
And I was explaining to my partner, Grace, I'm like, because she didn't really wasn't really into makeup, and I had some of the darkest, boxiest, large eyebrows. Very bad,
Oh,
but I
no.
told her, I'm like, "It's 'cause, you do, this shade one day, and then next week
Mhm.
you always want them darker, and, like, you don't realize until you, like, look back." So, I'm just
Yeah.
laughing to myself because 'cause I'm like, "That's exactly what that was."
Yeah, I mean, I feel like eyebrows have been such a big victim throughout the decades. A lot of really
Yeah,
rough eyebrow choices. I'm kind of happy where
yeah.
we're all at right now. It's like we're taking a breather. just letting
I
them
would
do their
agree.
thing.
We got a little far with the laminating. It got
Oh,
a
yeah.
little much. It got a
Mhm,
little
mhm.
much, but yeah, we've brought it back. I would agree with that.
Yeah. We're at, like, an eyebrow home
Oh,
base now, which is great.
yeah, true. A nice reset.
Mhm, mhm,
Okay, well, I want to kind of shift more into the space of talking about having, confidence in our style specifically. And so,
mhm.
first, I just want to know from, your professional perspective, how do you see confidence showing up in style in other people?
So, when I see confidence, when I see somebody that is confident, it's an energy that they give off. And obviously, that can be pinpointed with style choices too, but really, confidence is a feeling that radiates outward. And that's why you can see someone who has style, wearing clothes that you yourself will be like, never in a million years would that be something that I would put together. But they look amazing. And that's because, like, they know they look amazing. They're glowing and they're like, this is me. Unapologetically, here I am. And that's what we pick up on. And that's really the trick around confidence. It's so much more of an inner feeling that radiates out, that then welcomes in compliments, that then you carry yourself differently. And it's like beautiful, like outward rippling kind of effect. And so many of us get caught up in like the just the basics of it. Like what clothing do we put on our body to achieve that level of confidence, when we really have to remember that confidence is an inside job, not sounding like a cheesy little like Instagram meme that somebody made in Canva, but like it is, right? It's confidence is an inside job. So that's when you really have to start connecting with yourself and connecting with your body too. And the way that I like to do that for my clients, especially my clients that really struggle with being confident or feeling confident, is getting them to start to look at their bodies differently than how they would normally, right? When they're alone, staring at their own reflection by themselves, that's where things can get real ugly for a lot of us. And I don't mean ugly as in the reflection, I mean ugly as in like how we're treating ourselves and how we're picking things apart, how we're judging, how we're comparing, all of that comes into play. So when I'm working with my clients, I immediately eliminate the negative self talk. I'm like, this is a safe space. I want you to bring up the feelings that come up. However, you are not allowed to speak negatively about yourself. So when we're going to be critical about clothing or something, it's going to be about the clothes. It's not going to be about you, because it's not. We start by, I really like pay attention to the parts of their bodies that they're talking about in a positive way. And that's what I would definitely suggest for anyone who's trying to like start somewhere with becoming confident and feeling confident. Figure out just one part of your body that maybe you love, you like, or we'll settle for you don't hate it. We just need like one step up from where you're at today. And we're not going to judge it. And when you can figure out what part of your body that is, then you can start to just choose clothing to emphasize that one part. And it can just start with like one thing. It could even be like, I love the color of my eyes. And I know that when I wear this color sweater, it really brings out my eyes. And it can be that simple. And just making
Yeah.
really intentional choices like that, where you're reinforcing that connection, that positive connection to yourself, to your body, that's when, it can start to expand. And then you can be like, oh, not only do I love like this color sweater with my eyes, but I really like the way that, like my waist looks in this, or like how my stomach looks. And then it just starts to expand further and further until you start to pay attention more to the pieces that you like to wear and why. And then you start to put more outfits together that do those things, that achieve that same kind of confidence, until you're that person on the street that people are like, oh my God, she looks so good. Like, I wish I had her style. I wish I was that confident. And then you can be like, you can, it's easy.
Yeah.
So making
No,
sure.
really though, like when you kind of are laying it out step by step like that, I'm like, oh, that does sound really that does sound easy, but yeah, when you like sit down to do it, it might be a little harder, but
Yeah.
I love that, like, those steps, they seem really like, "Okay, maybe I could do that actually." So,
Yeah, the tricky
that's
part
awesome.
about it is that unfortunately, mental health can fluctuate from day to day, whether you struggle with mental health or not. Our moods fluctuate. So some days you're going to be like, girl, you look so good. Like, love, like this whole body. Like, hell yeah, I'm feeling
Yep,
this. And then other days you're going to be
yep.
like, oh, okay, here we are with clothes on our body.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be a very loose, probably black.
Like either we're gonna commit to feeling a little rough today, or we're gonna go in the other direction and try to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and make ourselves feel better. But yeah, that's the
True.
tough part, is that when we have those days where we're feeling a little bit more defeated or hard on ourselves, it's hard to maintain that consistency and be like, okay, I'm still dedicated to my mission, I'm still trying to achieve that confident, like personal style. How can I still do that even on the days where I don't feel good about myself or physically, whatever it is? Because we're human, we're going to have those days that fluctuate. But, that's where I even
Yeah,
suggest to my clients, I'm like, you know what? Even make sure that you like your sweats, like the comfy clothes that you put on when you're feeling like you just want to be a bum around your house, like feeling like cozy. Make sure you still like those cozy pieces too. And if they still feel like a little bit of an extension of you, don't just grab that sweatshirt that you got from like a free, like that was free at an event, whatever. It like kind of scratchy, but you're like,
yeah,
it's fine. You know, get yourself that cozy sweatshirt that you got at like a music festival that you're like, you know what? Oh my gosh, this is such great memories. I love how this feels. I love the color. And it feels like I'm wearing a cozy blanket. This is a win for me.
I love it. That's so perfect.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so obviously you had to go on that journey, right?
Hmm.
So as you were figuring things out, would you say that there was something specific that it's like, okay, like I did that and now I'm like feeling like confidence is way more attainable, way more realistic? Cuz sometimes I feel like when you start things, it's just like it feels impossible. And at some point, whether it's just like, oh, slow and steady steps, or it's like, yeah, one very specific thing, at
Hmm.
some point it gets easier, right? At some point it gets more realistic.
Yeah, it really does. And
I would hope.
honestly, yeah, no, it absolutely does. I have to say that for me, I think that the most transformative moment that I had where I was like, here we go, I am committing to my confidence is when I have like shoulder length brown hair now, but I guess 6 years ago, I had shoulder length brown hair, similar to how it is now, a little bit longer actually. And I kept like getting this like this nudge where I was like seeing photos on Instagram of these really awesome, like super short haircuts, like platinum blonde, which I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. I want to do that. I love that. And I kept seeing photos, because of course the algorithm, it's going to like, land for 10 seconds on a photo. It's like, obviously you want to see more of this, which I did. So it wasn't
It's
wrong.
terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But so I kept
But
seeing
then
these
when
like
you see
super
nothing
cute
else,
haircuts.
it's like,
And I was like, I messaged my hairstylist at the time and I was like, hey, can we do this? Like, is this a thing that I could do with my hair texture and color and all that? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. So as soon as I got the okay from her, I booked the appointments and everything. I told my husband and my son just to like give them a heads up because my son was like 2.5 at the time, and I didn't want to like be traumatizing by, being recognizable to being completely unrecognizable in terms of a 2-year-old. Anyway, but that was it. Like I didn't post about it on Instagram. There wasn't like a whole announcement. I didn't like poll my friends about it. I was just like, I really want to do this. And this is what I'm going to do. And I did it. I got my hair chopped off, platinum blonde, same day. It was like an entire day, but it was a day. And
yeah,
I was obsessed. I like felt like it was this outer transformation that really reflected who I was becoming, and also like releasing a lot of the attachment that I had at the time to other people and to other people's expectations of what they thought I should, look like as a personal stylist and how I should be dressing and everything. And I was like, no, no, I'm a personal stylist and I need to show up as me. And right now, like, this is an identity that I need to explore. And that was really a huge turning point for me in my ability to just like release anything else, anyone else's opinions about the way that I present myself and really allow from the permission that I felt like I needed to just come from within. And that's something that I try to work with my clients on doing too, is like letting them practice giving themselves permission and how they want to show up and how they want to express themselves. So that was definitely like a big moment. I would say my tattoos were also a big part of, tapping into my confidence because again, it was for me, it was a lot of releasing the connection and the weight of other people's opinions so that I could really focus on what I wanted. And that was really the most like transformative part of it. But getting more visible tattoos like on my arms, my hands, and everything, and chopping off my hair and dyeing it blonde at the time, both of those huge moments for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I literally, like, have chills. I'm just like, "That is so special," and I love those feelings, and I think you made really great points of, like, a lot of times there's just, like, expectations of who you are and what you should look like, and yeah, that, like, freedom to go against that essentially and do what feels more right. And I like how you're kind of saying, like, just even taking that first step, even if that isn't what your end goal, what you want to, express yourself as, like, just breaking out of that to, like, give yourself the option. I'm like, that is beautiful.
Yeah, it's so huge. Like, because I think a lot of us just get caught up in, what we feel like is expected of us and how we show up,
Yeah.
like what a professional looks like for me, like what a mom looks like, and all of those things. And it's not necessarily from any one person, but it's just we carry all this weight that we're not even fully aware of its presence until we start getting rid of it and feeling lighter and lighter. And you're like, oh, like, okay, like standing up straighter, like feeling
Yeah,
myself. Like, here we go.
totally. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
thank
So
you.
I'm really curious for this question. Before you took this journey into becoming a style coach, what would you say that you thought having confidence in style was versus now that you're kind of on this side of things?
I am so
I know.
excited
I'm
about
like,
this question.
I feel like there's gonna be a really good answer. So I wanna hear
Mhm.
what you thought it was and then now what it is.
Yeah. So for me, I think that when I used to see someone with, confidence and like their style, it was, they looked very polished. Like for me, it was like they had to be like very like everything was tailored and polished and like perfect,
Yeah.
which is hilarious because thinking about like who I was back, prior to becoming a personal stylist, I'm like, oh yeah, that tracks with the type of person that was or like striving to be. I was very type A, like super organized, like all the time, major control issues. Still working on the control issues, but everyone's a work in progress, right?
Yep.
So, um, but it was everything looked like every single hair was in place and makeup was perfect.
Yes.
It was like a lot about this almost like an unachievable perfection that the person was like radiating, like you almost like you couldn't touch them. And that I think is what a lot of us get caught up in too about confidence and personal style. I think that some people don't even know where to start, or they kind of like get caught up in where to start because they view both confidence and personal style as something that's like unattainable, or that it's only for certain people, when it's not. Like personal styles for everyone, everyone, everyone. And confidence should be too. Like everyone should be able to tap into their inner confidence. So now the way that I see confidence and style is that, confidence is that like it's just this glow that you radiate where you walk into a room, any room, and you're smiling, your body language is like strong but relaxed, and you're carrying yourself in a really effortless way because confidence isn't something that's forced, it just flows. And when that comes back to your style too, there's so much of a range of what, I love and I can see in someone who I would view as being stylish. And what usually like really captures my attention is when it feels like that person is wearing something that is very uniquely connected to them. And it could be something as simple as like a strong accessory or a shoe. It doesn't have to be like the whole outfit being like a real loud statement because not all of us are really loud, extroverted people. Sometimes we
Yeah.
need just like a little moment that's like, hey, this is me, and my kind of people will be the ones looking for the small details and will notice it and then we'll have that connection point. Or, the more extroverted people will have the opposite effect where they'll notice the big expression. They'll be like, oh, my people, I see you. But it's a beautiful way to connect, which I think is something
Yeah.
so deeply special about style and that confidence combined.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's so great too, where it's like, it's not just for one people, like, I think that was a really great point that it's not just for extroverts or people who like
Mm.
having, big, loud outfits, but there's still that connection. I
Yeah,
really love that. That's great. Yeah.
too.
And I would say I pictured confidence the same way as you did, right? Like roots are touched up, just like, and not
Mhm.
even necessarily consciously, but that's just kind of what you see. And it's like, oh, well, they put effort into, getting ready and, making themselves look nice. So they're confident. But
Yeah.
yeah, boy, has that changed, right?
Mhm. Yes, thankfully.
Yeah.
What a relief that it's changed.
Yeah. Well, and I was thinking too, like, if we make it so unachievable, then it's like, well, then that's okay. Like, I'll never be confident, but it's okay because, like, it's so much, right? And it almost, like you're saying, some people just don't think that like style is for everyone. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. You have a style
Mhm.
somewhere. Like, you have to
Yeah.
find it, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah, we don't have to like say we can't have that.
Yeah, I think that people also kind of view not having a style as a way to continue to blend in. If they're
Mm,
concerned that if they make more intentional choices about their personal style and about how they're expressing themselves, then people are going to see them. And for
yeah.
some people, that's really scary and intimidating at first. It's like, gosh, like, what do you mean? Like, people are going to look at me like I'm a person and not just, like a mom in sweats and leggings, like getting her kids to school. Like, they're going to see me. And what does that mean? What does that feel like? And processing all of those emotions that come up and just my role in that situation is just allowing them to experience those emotions and feel what comes up, but then also taking a breather and starting out slow. Like we're not going to go from,
Yeah.
their current comfort zone to being completely shoved out of it. It's a gradual like expansion of their comfort zone.
Yeah, that's really great. I had put a poll on my Instagram
Yeah.
and yeah, just about everyone voted that no, they didn't know what their personal style was. So, that's
Wow.
really interesting, but
Yeah.
that kind of made me thought. I guess I'd never really thought about people feeling that way because I've been the one to dye, my hair pink since I was,
Mhm.
like, 12, and, like,
Love
I
it.
just changed it from pink, like, it's so I always have had, like, those strong looks that you're talking about, and then so, yeah, I think that's a great thing to think about of,
Yeah.
if you don't normally do that, it is kind of weird to stand out, and
Yeah,
yeah,
for
how
sure.
beautiful to, like, build on that.
Yeah. And I think too, some people also may feel like they don't have a personal style because they also feel like your style has to fit neatly into a specific genre or category. But that, I don't really. subscribe to that philosophy, because I like
Yeah.
to dabble and like pull from a lot of different genres for my own style and for my client styles because like when you're describing yourself and your personality, you're not going to be like, I'm boho, I'm
Yeah.
classic. Like, what does that even mean? It's like, no.
Boho was literally the first one to come to my mind, so that's
Right. Yeah,
hilarious.
of course. It's like, it's just so absurd. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, like, I love an anthropology moment, trust me. But
Yeah.
like, would I describe myself in like one of those style genres? Like, not really. I feel like I'm definitely more eclectic and it really does depend on my mood. And that is more of how I like to guide my clients and talk about style in general, is just with having that breathability to it and to the idea that it's like, well, you are an ever growing human and your style should grow and support you. So, don't feel like you have to really hone in on a specific category or genre. That's definitely my advice to everyone that participated in the poll. It's like, I'm sure you have a style. It's just not the
Yeah.
way that you're thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's so interesting that you bring that up because I think that style and genre, how you're saying, those are used interchangeably, right? Like you
Right.
say, "Oh, what's your style?"
Yeah.
But you're maybe asking, "Oh, what, genre do you maybe lean towards?" So, I just think that's really interesting because I think most people, when they think they're talking about styles, they're really talking about genres, right?
Right. Yeah.
Not all-encompassing style of a human being who, like you're saying, is ever changing.
Exactly.
And I think too, like, how exhausting when you do kind of put yourself even boho, right? You're like, "I'm the boho style."
Yeah.
And then, now you feel like you have to dress that way all the time and
Right.
in every scene, right?
Hmm.
Like, that sounds exhausting to try and, like,
Yeah.
fit a certain genre to every event and every time of day even. Yeah,
Exactly.
very
It
exhausting. I'm the same
becomes
way. I'm like, one day I'm in this genre, one day I'm in this one.
Yeah, it definitely becomes, a little bit like you're pigeonholing yourself. Like you're putting yourself in like this small little box when you're trying to really connect with a specific
So what's something actionable? We've already gone over a couple things, but any actionable things that people can do to increase their confidence in their personal style?
That's another actionable step to, really like embrace that confidence and discover that confidence is starting with paying attention to your favorite pieces or your favorite outfits. Because I
Mm,
think having another connection, like an outward connection, especially from a style perspective, of, what is really like just having you carry yourself a little bit differently. Something as simple as your favorite outfit or a top or shoes that you really love, like whatever it is, just start paying attention and kind of taking note of it. You can even like put it into a notes app on your phone or journal about it or just take a mental note. But by paying attention in that way, that is going to again like expand in the ways that we keep talking about to the point where then your confidence is just radiating from you and you're just glowing like a gorgeous beam of light.
I love it. That's so perfect. And I'm like writing this down as if I'm not recording, but I'm just like, yes, I want to do all of this. That's
Oh,
so
yay.
perfect. And just the confidence that you radiate, even through a blurry Zoom call, I'm like, I aspire
You are
to
so sweet.
have that energy. So
Thank you.
I definitely will be taking these steps. And yes, hopefully everyone that said no listens and goes, "Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, yes, I do. I can do that."
Exactly. And if you're one of those people, send me a message on Instagram because I would love to hear the realizations or like the light bulb moments that you're having during this episode. That always makes my day. It is me and my DMs, so it's not like somebody else controls
Yes.
my account. Send me a message for sure.
Yes, yes. Awesome. So, where else could people reach out to you besides Instagram?
Yeah, my website is amazing. I love my website. The resources on it are phenomenal. I have a really extensive blog that's just all really like great, accessible, easy information. So if you're curious about, just learning more about your style or color analysis, any of those things, my website is a wonderful tool.
Amazing.
Thank you.
And I will link that in the show notes so everyone can go check it out right now. Well, that's perfect. Thank you so much for your time,
Thank
and
you.
this was great. I'm just like feeling inspired. I hope people are like, yes, I have a style, and that's beyond different genres. And hopefully, everyone picks a piece of themselves and of their closet that they like.
Mhm.
And I like to end my episodes with something a little sillier or lighter. So, what's been your like go-to drink order lately?
Ooh, so I have been loving at Starbucks the iced pecan oat milk latte. It is
What?
divine. I'm like, all right. I mean, I used to be a pumpkin spice girly, but like the pecan oat milk latte feels so much more queer, and I love that for me. So
Yes.
I'm like, give
Yes,
me the oat milk
absolutely.
latte. Like, sweet, it's creamy, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So highly recommend it. So that's my caffeinated beverage order of choice at the moment.
Yes, Jill. I haven't checked out their new fall flavors,
Yeah.
so good to know because that
Mhm.
sounds delicious.
Yes.
Um, I've been doing anything with soy milk and sugar-free vanilla
Ooh.
syrup. So I'll do like a London fog with soy, just a latte, and it's just been my go-to lately, and it's perfect. So if you like oat milk, maybe
Mhm.
try a soy milk. It's pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome so much. This was so great.
Thanks for listening. Remember to leave a rating and review, subscribe, and come back next Thursday for a new episode. And remember, you matter and what you have to say matters. So join me here with For the Talkers.